The year 2023 on a review, and in this video I want us to have a look on what has happened in the world during this year 2023. It is a year which come with a lot of challenges, and we survived to go through all these challenges, guys. And as we are about to bring you all the matters that had happened around the world, I want us to bring out one of the things that really caught the attention of each and every individual out there, whether you usually watch news or not. But these are the matters that everyone that now aware about it, and one of it is about the war which is ongoing in Ukraine, with Russia who had to invade Ukraine. Guys, you saw that this was a serious conflict which really caused the world a big time when it comes to the economic and the number of unemployment all over around the world. It had increased compared to the one that we all know about, and it is for that reason why we have tried to summarize for you this report so that you can have a close look on how the leadership of Vladimir Putin it had to face these challenges, and so that we'll come back and show you more analysis that we had prepared for you in these videos. So without delay, let us first have a listen to this report, then I'll be back after then so that we can get to discuss.
Seeing Joe Biden standing on Ukrainian soil on the first anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine war in February, there was no doubt that it was a clear message to Vladimir Putin of what he's up against. Soon began a series of events this year which had the potential to shake Russia to its core.
As a court of law, the judges issued arrest.
On March 17th, an arrest warrant was issued against Putin by the International Criminal Court. Putin's arrest was mandated for committing war crimes in Ukraine. He was held responsible for unlawfully deporting and transferring children from Ukraine into Russia. The warrant implies that Putin will be arrested if he steps foot in any of the 123 member nations of the ICC, which includes South Africa, forcing Putin to give the BRICS summit a miss this year. It marks the first time that the ICC issued an arrest warrant against one of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. On May 20th, the Wagner mercenary group that fought for Putin in Ukraine announced the capture of the embattled Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. This was a big gain for Putin as it came after months of intense fighting and gave Russia direct access of 2 more cities of Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. But Bakhmut came at a cost, as the Wagner mercenaries soon turned hostile against Moscow. On June 23rd, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the former head of the Wagner mercenary group and one of Putin's most trusted men, released a video stepping up his feud with Russia's military top brass. He called out the leaders for not providing Wagner fighters with the necessary aid they needed to fight in Ukraine, and also rejected Putin's justification of invading Ukraine. Soon after this video and the following day, on June 24th, Russia was nearly shaken to its core. Prigozhin released visuals of his men crossing the border from Ukraine into Russia, mentioning how they were ready to go all the way against the Russian military. Wagner fighters entered the southern Russian city of Rostov-on-Don, taking control of the city and key military installations, including a crucial aerodrome used by Russian forces to mount attacks on Ukraine. Matters soon simmered as Russia dodged a massive civil war. A truce was brokered on the very same day, and soon the Wagner mercenary chief, Yevgeny Prigozhin, was directed to Belarus under a deal brokered by Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko to end the armed mutiny which aimed at taking over Moscow. While it seemed that the Wagner and Prigozhin conundrum had been settled once and for all, there was more. On August 23rd, a private jet carrying Yevgeny Prigozhin and 9 senior Wagner commanders crashed north of Moscow with no survivors. Both Moscow and Washington suggested foul play, while the Kremlin considered the possibility of an assassination event. While a US intelligence assessment concluded that an intentional explosion caused the plane crash, Moscow rubbished all claims denying any involvement in the crash. Post-August 2023 got better for Vladimir Putin. While the much-anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive was deemed a failure, reports also emerged of an accelerated Russian industrial production index by 2%, with Russia pledging a boost to its defense budget by 70%. In October, Putin was ceremoniously welcomed by China to attend the third Belt and Road Forum. The visit underscored Russia and China's no-limits partnership. The Russian President Vladimir Putin received a hero's welcome as he visited West Asia. It was a one-day lightning tour to the UAE and Saudi Arabia. While Putin's bonhomie with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was evident from their body language, in UAE, Putin was welcomed with a 21-gun salute and a flyby of UAE fighter jets trailing smoke in the colors of the Russian national flag. Putin's ceremonious welcomes in West Asia were not missed on the West, setting the stage for 2024 as Russia stands firm in the ongoing Ukraine war, while Joe Biden struggles to provide further funds for Ukraine's war effort.
Well, as you just watching this report, which had summarized each and every challenge that Vladimir Putin had to go through as is the leader of Russia Republic, and we all know that this war is still going, it's still ongoing in Ukraine, and looking at how things they are. I mean, guys, starting a war, it is something that you can tell the date, the time, even the hours. But when it comes to when this war can finish, that is something that we'll have to leave it like that, because looking at how everything's are sitting on the table, there is no any proof that this conflict will finish anytime soon, because we have reached to the point, as I told you before, that we have reached to the point that the Russian government, they had spent a lot of billions of US dollar in order for them to resist this long against the Western power, against NATO countries, because they've been fighting on their own, and like enough their economy was in a very high good position, if I have to put it that way, that made them resist for all this time. They did at least to fight on their own without the support of any other countries against America, France, British, Germany, Italy, all the NATO countries combined together. So this war, it had also put Russia to the way that if they agree to stop it today, then which means tomorrow they'll be having a serious problem. Why? Because they won't be able to recover all the activities that they have lost in the international platforms. They will still have some of the sanctions until they prove this world organization that had imposed these sanctions on them that Russia is not gonna go back again in Ukraine to attack Ukraine. So they will remain under sanctions, as we see with Zimbabwe and many other African countries. And remaining in this kind of sanctions, it is something that Russia won't like to resist, because the sanctions are already having a very big impact on them. So Russia, even if they have to discuss today, they have to negotiate on how to terminate this war, they still have a serious problem, because they will have to impose also in their negotiation with this Ukraine and NATO countries all these sanctions to be removed from them, and they will also need to have some of the monies which the US with their alliance, they had closed all the Russia assets. We are talking about more than 450 billion US dollar, which was closed, and when Joe Biden had announced the sanctions against Russia. So this money, it was in the foreign currency, which is represented by the US dollar, and this money already, as we're talking right now, Ukrainian government also, they already start asking for the same money, saying that we need this money because it is kind of like a damage which the Republic of Russia with Vladimir Putin, they will have to pay to us for all this damage that they have caused against our people. Like, for example, rebuilding all this building that collapsed through the strikes that Russia, they have been sending through their drones, and try to pay the family of victims. In one of our previous video, I had told you guys before that this requirement, or the request that Zelensky with his government, they are trying to ask on the international community in order for them to allow them to take this money, it does not really make sense. I will tell you why.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky avoided the subject of American politics and the billions of dollars in funding his country did not get. Instead, honoring Ukraine's war dead on the newly introduced Defenders Day on October 1st.
Slava Ukraini!
Barely more than a week ago, Zelensky faced Congress in person, said Ukraine is winning, but needs more aid to avoid Russian defeat. President Biden had requested an additional $24 billion to shore up Ukraine's defenses with more artillery, fighter jets, and new Abrams tanks, some of which have only recently arrived. With Ukraine's counteroffensive slowly progressing, more soldiers are dying each day. In Washington, President Biden pushed Congress to get Ukraine aid back on track.
Look at me. We're going to get it done.
And Ukraine's Ministry of Foreign Affairs says that American support is...
Because for me, I believe this is just an opportunity to make even the Ukrainian government become even more richer, because we have already been seeing it that all the aid that the US and the other NATO countries, they've been sending to this country, this money actually, it was not only going to help the government of Ukraine in order for them to defend themselves against Vladimir Putin, but it also helped a lot of politicians in Ukraine become even millionaire. Just like that, the money which is supposed to be helping people of Ukraine so that they can live at peace, instead that money end up starting making politicians becoming even more rich. And right now, seeing Zelensky's government asking for the United Nations and the world organizations which have the easy access to these funds that they had repossessed from the Russian government through their sanctions. It is a way of going to make these people steal this money more easily, and they know very well that if this money have to be refunded back to Russian government, they won't be able to get it. So they won't just put a hand on it and take that money, because we all know that at the end of this war which is ongoing on Ukraine, like it or not, Russia will have to pay damage to the Ukrainian government, because so far it is Russia who fight into another person's country. So which means all the damages is Russia will pay. Of course, there will be some other world organizations who will have to contribute money in order for them to resurrect the economy of Ukraine. But that is something we still have to wait and see what will happen. But here's another question that comes in my mind right now. Do you think Russia, knowing Russia with Vladimir Putin, they will accept or allow these world organizations to take this whole asset of Russia in the reserve bank and give it to Ukrainian people without the approval of Russia? That is just a question that comes through in my mind, because according to my own understanding, I don't think that's gonna happen. Because if that have to happen, which means Russia, they are not gonna approve it, and if Russia, they don't approve for this amount of money which is supposed to be allocated to the Ukrainian government in order for them to fix whatsoever Russia had damage over there, it needs the approval of Russia. If Russia, they don't approve and the World Reserve Bank decide to go ahead and take this money and give it to the Ukrainian government, well, simple is that Russia, they will come also and sue whoever who put the signature to allow this amount of money to go and be allocated to the Ukrainian government. If that happens, well, which means they will have to pay Russia back their money, because it is their money and they did not give anyone the right to use it. this money, if these other world organizations that are having easy access to it, it is all because Russia is under sanctions. And when we're talking about sanctions, they have to find something that they have to use against you. And this all money that we are talking about, this money that belongs to Russia, it is a money which are found, for an example, in different business activities, company transactions, money being removed from this account to another account. And through that process, the US decided to cancel everything, and all the money, all the banks, all the activities that belongs to Russia, it was frozen by these Western governments. So that is how they managed to have a last word to say about this money. So which means they have to wait until Russia solve these problems with Ukraine by stopping all the conflict that we are seeing over there in Ukraine. Once that happens, then maybe they might come and say that, no, dude, we're having your money, and here you need to pay these people for all the damage that you caused over there. So if Russia agree to that one, obviously, then they'll have to take this money and transfer it to the Ukrainian government, and that is how they'll do all that. But back now to what we watched through earlier on through this video, I mean to say, about the recap of 2023 on Russia President Vladimir Putin, the kind of challenge that he faces. So through that video, guys, you all saw how the ICC, International Criminal Court, had launched this arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin in order for him to be arrested in any of these countries that I have signed the ICC charter. So these countries, we all know that South Africa was one of them, and you also how South Africa was put under a big task to arrest Vladimir Putin if he would have stepped his feet in South Africa. And we also how South Africa did receive a lot of pressures from the US, the International Criminal Court, and all the NATO countries trying to threaten South Africa to the point of even imposing sanctions on South Africa in case if they refuse to arrest Vladimir Putin. All that they were doing it for one reason, because they believe if there is the right place that Vladimir Putin can be arrested, that will be in South Africa. And that was the reason why they did everything they could do in their power to make sure that South Africa have to arrest Vladimir Putin. They were doing all that because, once again, because they believe that South Africa, it is an African country. So since they always think that they have the last word to say when it comes to African affairs, so they were kind of like hoping that this trap to work in their advantage, that Vladimir Putin can be arrested in South Africa by South African government. Unfortunately, that did not work for them, because South Africa was also more determined to not arrest Vladimir Putin, not just because they have a good relationship with Vladimir Putin, a country which was there for South Africa during the apartheid regime. Nope, but they had to support and stand by Vladimir Putin, all because Vladimir Putin is one of the BRICS member. He represents Russia in the BRICS countries, and they believe that the battle here, it is not all about us arresting Vladimir Putin, but the true battle here, it is about the US who's fighting Russia in Ukraine. And they are trying to decorate it kind of like it is Ukraine or with Russia who are being involved in this war. And South Africa government did also understand that this is not about Ukraine with Vladimir Putin, or what Vladimir Putin have done in Ukraine according to all these allegations that they have put against Vladimir Putin. But South Africa government understood also that these people, it is they are trying to fight BRICS countries. They want to see BRICS country economy being collapsed, because remember, in this past 2 years ago, the BRICS economy, it had grown so fast to the point that if you take G20 and G7, you combine all of them together, their economies, they are not that close to even to the one of BRICS countries. BRICS countries, remember, it is countries which are represented by Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and who else? There are 5 countries, obviously, but now they have extended. So now we are having BRICS Plus, which include Egypt, Saudi Arabia, so on and so on, as they just recently signed on allowing this country to come in. But as I was saying again, so South Africa government understood that we are talking about G7, G20, NATO countries. All these countries, all of them together, they want to fight BRICS, because BRICS, besides growing its own economy, BRICS had also another good idea of having their own international currency. This money, looking how things are standing on the table, listening to people from different countries, government leaders, politicians, analysis, and different, everyone who talk about this new BRICS currency, they're saying that this money, it is the only monetary that will come and remove the US from the field. It will come and remove pounds and euros and all these other international currency that you guys, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, to remove them, and it will be replaced with the BRICS, because the BRICS, it had the countries which are very strong when it comes to their economy, and these countries, they need not to rely on US dollar, but they need to have their own currency, so that they will protect themselves against the US sanctions, because you all saw that US, as we all know, that they are the biggest bull in this world. They kind of like using things that they know it will affect your economy. They will use their MasterCard, they will use their Google, they will use their Facebook, they will use their social media platforms, they will use their currency to bully you, as long as they know that, okay, if we stop this person from doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and we, for example, we stop them not having easy access to our US dollar, they won't be able to trade with other nations, they won't be able to do things with other countries, because by then their economy will be collapsed, and no one or any other countries out there would like to come and work with them. So these are the kind of the things that these countries, they usually do, and they enjoy doing these things in most of the time, guys. Now South Africa, they have understand all this, and they're like, no, since us, we are part of BRICS, all we have to do is to remain strong in our words. We are going to stand by our words, and we are not going to listen to what these people are telling us, because at the end of the day, these things are not benefiting us from anything. Instead, it only benefits their own advantage. So South Africa refused to arrest Vladimir Putin. On the other side, Vladimir Putin had his own way of doing things around. The man decided to not participate in South Africa BRICS summit, and he had to send his foreign minister, who came and represent him. Until today, the arrest warrant of Vladimir Putin remain like that, without having its impact, because the world have understood that this arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin, it is something more personal, because if there is a true criminal out there who have done so many harms to the world, that will be the US leaders. followed by the British and France leaders. These people, they have done a lot. There is a lot of evidence out there, and so many victims who have been hurt by these people, yet no one of them never been arrested. No one of them never even been called to the court so that they can come and give an explanation of what they have done in these so countries, and trying to make the economies of these countries to be collapsed. No one. Instead, all we see is the US even trying to not even sign these ICC things, because they don't want to be part of it, because they know already that if we have to sign these things, then we will have also to combine with the law of the ICC. Now imagine you seeing an American president being arrested by the ICC. That is kind of the embarrassment they do not want to face, because they know that they have been doing a lot of harms to the world. Now they want to do, for the same ICC, to be arresting their enemies, people that they don't get along with, people that they get along with them. They've been protecting them with everything. They do everything in their powers, whether it is the ICC, which I always clarify that this is a platform which belongs to Americans. Yes, they tell them what to do and what not to do. Do you guys still remember the moment when the ICC president came and announced this arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin? What was the reactions of Americans? The American government, they were busy celebrating and even applauding for the ICC to go ahead and fulfill this arrest warrant. Yet they are not part of the ICC. You can tell already that they're the one who will have to benefit from all this if it happened that Vladimir Putin is being arrested in one of these countries that have signed the ICC freedom chapter, or whatever they call it. I don't even care to know more details about it. But guys, so talking about the arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin, we all know that besides Vladimir Putin, in this world there's many people who have committed crime, a serious crime against humanity, and these people, they never been arrested. Right now as we're talking, we have example of Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel. This man, he have done worse than Vladimir Putin in a short period of time. See the way he's been killing innocent people in Palestine, bombarding church, refugee camps, women and children, without anything to justify. Because if you ask them, they will tell you the only reason that they have is that no, we want to finish once for all the organizations of a Hamas group, which sometimes I always laugh, because whenever they kill these innocent people, we never see anyone come and say that no, this is the Hamas terrorist group that we have arrested or managed to kill. So this is just an excuse which Israel, they had planned in order for them to make Palestine disappear from the map, because they want to make sure that they kill everyone over there. And when all these crimes are happening, the US is there on the other side. They are not doing nothing at all. They could not even have the courage to condemn what this Prime Minister of Israel is doing over there in Palestine. Why? All because this Prime Minister is at their service, is one of their partners. So they're kind of like protecting one another. If these people, they had the courage to place an arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin because of what has been happening in Ukraine, why they can't do the same with the Prime Minister of Israel? All because they are the world organizations which are at the service of the open eye masters. So you can tell already the kind of the injustice this world is experiencing right now, all because of this kind of people. And everyone, they have understand already that, okay, just because these people, they want to behave like this, then we don't see any reason why we should entertain them. We don't see any reason why we should act like everything is fine with us, or with us standing by their side. So guys, you see now, this is what we had prepared for you, in order for us to, as we are trying to catch up what had happened through this year 2023. So we looking at the world most trending situations or news that we have to come and give it a proper closure about it, because when you look, for example, the Russia-Ukrainian war, it is something that we spoke about it in different times during this year, as the actuality requests us to do so. So now that it is the end of the year, we just have to come and tell you again what we just tell you now, because it is very important you have a proper idea of what is happening over there. Yes, as I said earlier on, starting a war, it is something very easy that you can do, but it's not easy for you to finish. When the US attacked Vladimir Putin in Ukraine, for them, they thought it was going to be easy for them. For them, they thought that it was going to be like very, very, very easy for Russia, because they know that they'll close Russia banks, they'll put sanctions on Russia, they'll do this, they'll sponsor Ukrainian government, they'll do that, and they'll make Russia, they'll humiliate Russia in the eyes of the world. But unfortunately, looking at how things are standing on the table right now, they are the one who are crying now. They are the one whom their economy is now being affected. They are the one now who are running out of the money in order for them to continue to finance Ukrainian. They are the one now who are complaining. Now they are changing the directions. They are now in the Middle East. And on the other side, Russia, they're still briefing with all the capacities that they have in their hands. So we shall wait and see what will happen. But I'm promising you guys, for the negotiations at the moment, I think the only negotiation that can go good is only if Ukraine accept to all the proposal of Russia. If Ukraine fails to do so, I believe Russia will take Kyiv in one of these days. You will sleep and wake up, you'll find out that no, Kyiv is gone, because when the US decided to go and sit to middle in the Middle East in their affairs, on the other side, Russia has been hitting so hard. Russia have been attacking Ukraine. They've been doing very crazy things over there, and that is the reason why you saw Zelensky traveling around the world, going back to the USA as their partners and trying to remind them of what they had promised him before, so that they can come and refund him, give him some funds so that he can organize the troops. Because I saw even some of the Ukrainian fighting weapons, they are not even in good conditions. The vehicles, the guns, so they are now depending only on drones. And these drones, they can't launch it to Russia, because if they have to attack Russia, then things will get even more worse. Russia will have to use its nuclear bomb. And once it starts using this nuclear bomb, I believe it will be a very big disaster, because we are talking about a world's nuclear bomb who have, like, they are having many of them in their possession. So they don't want to use them, because they don't want you also to push them to the point of using it. And I believe that is the only reason maybe Ukraine so far, with their alliance NATO countries, they are not having that courage to go ahead and attack Russia in return. So let us wait and see what will happen, and we'll come back again with more analysis for you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. For now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for it to be respected, man.